telling somebody that is working through CPTSD that they need to learn to love themselves and learn how to exercise self-care, while to you might seem like a normal, healthy thing to do, to them feels like they're being asked to learn a new language overnight. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3 things. One, we're going to talk about why is it specifically that people working through CPTSD struggle with learning how to love themselves. 2, why excellent tips for self-love and self-care don't feel like they work if you have complex trauma. And 3, what are some things you can do to start building the capacity to be able to love yourself. So that being said, let's dive in. Okay, my friends, this is me interrupting me because I want you to know of a valuable resource that is helpful when you're healing from emotional trauma. Transformational healing begins when we start putting the focus on these wounded pieces of us that are inside. Today is July 11th, 2024. From now until the end of this month, I'm offering a year membership in the School of Transformation. So if you think this is a resource that could be helpful for you, make sure you join before the sale ends, the last day of June 2024. It's been said that whatever comes easy to us is because we have a program for it. And whatever is difficult for us to accomplish is because we don't have a program for it. CPTSD is basically a traumatized nervous system, and our nervous system is directly affected by our subconscious programs. And so the most common programs that are running in people that have complex PTSD are programs like I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, I don't deserve, there's something wrong with me, I'm bad. And some other programs that are running as well in people with CPTSD are things like it's selfish to take care of myself or to do something I love. It's dangerous to be happy. Again, depending on what caused the traumatization in your nervous system. If every time you were happy and doing something you love, something bad happened, then the very thing you're looking to do that allows you to exercise self-love is something that's going to register as dangerous to your nervous system. And so I'm hoping that understanding that so much of this is because of our programs, right? Our subconscious programs. I'm hoping that helps you to normalize the challenge as you're learning to love yourself, so that you don't beat yourself. And so there's no shame in this. For people that are able to love themselves easily, it's not that they're better or stronger people than you. It's simply that they lived a circumstance in their life that gave them the programs to feel safe and allowed to love themselves. Now, if you didn't get that in childhood, the good news is, as an adult, you can update and upgrade your subconscious beliefs. And so as a reminder, make sure you watch to the end so that you get the tips that can help you to do that. So let's talk about why some tips to love yourself, even though they can be awesome tips, why they don't feel like they work for you. One of the reasons is because self-love is different for everyone. Just like everyone has their own love language. Let's say my love language is quality time, and somebody else has a love language of words of affirmation. And I'm giving all these amazing tips on how valuable quality time is. If you don't realize how to find your specific love language and you're just applying tips that are for somebody else's love language, you're going to be like, okay, well, shoot, these tips don't work. And so the first thing we have to realize is that we really have to start clarifying what self-love is through the lens of our own life and our own perspective. I'll never forget a client of mine. One time she was working on self-love and she got her pen and her pad out and she was like, okay, Michelle, tell me the things I need to do to love myself. And I asked her a question that was designed to help her to really find what self-love looked like through her eyes. And by doing so, by doing it that way through her perspective, she was able to really come up with some amazing things that resonated with her personal circumstances. And so I want to give that question to you, because by asking yourself this question, it's going to be a really great way for you to start specifying what self-love looks like for you. And so pause this video for 5 minutes and answer these questions. Number 1, if I truly loved myself and believed it was safe to love myself, what are some things I would be doing in my life that I'm not doing now? Number 2, what are some thoughts that I would be having regularly that I'm not having now? And number 3, what are the emotions that would be in my body that I'm not feeling now? Pause this video and answer those questions. If you answer those questions, you now have customized suggestions that are designed to help you to learn how to find self-love in your life. But there's another part to it when it comes to complex PTSD. You see, once we know what we want to do in order to love ourselves, once we have that clarity and it makes sense and it's customized, it's specialized just for our circumstances, the Cptsd aspect that often gets in the way is the fact that we formulated that customized plan of how to love ourselves, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. And we do that using the cortical regions of our brain. And again, Cptsd means we have a traumatized nervous system, which means the areas of our brain that hold the trauma or are activated when we're triggered or the trauma kind of gets turned on in our nervous system, those areas of our brain are subcortical. Again, with language, it's almost like that those GPS coordinates are great. We understand it consciously, but subconsciously, the old programs are still running. The reality is that there is no on-off switch for our subconscious beliefs. There's no button that we touch and those old beliefs disappear in one day and the new beliefs take root in one day. So what happens when you have Cptsd is that you have your GPS coordinates, you go to do something on that list and your body starts feeling uncomfortable, or you start procrastinating, or you get an emotional flashback. And the message from your body to your brain is basically, don't do this. It's not safe. It doesn't feel good. You need to stop. Those are the old subconscious beliefs kicking on and trying to bring you back in harmony with who you've been for a long time. So if you've been a person that doesn't do those things that give evidence of self-love, your nervous system is more comfortable with the familiar and it wants to keep you in that. So the very things that we need to do to heal and to feel self-love are the very things that our nervous system, the traumatized nervous system, tries to stop us from doing. Now, the sad part when it comes to that is the fact that when we start to do the things that we want to do to love ourselves and we experience that discomfort and then we stop, we accidentally either create or strengthen beliefs like, I can't heal, it's impossible, it's too hard. And I really want to clarify that it is not impossible to upgrade and change your subconscious beliefs and help your nervous system to come out of that traumatized state. I want to be realistic. It's not an overnight thing. It takes time, it takes consistency, it takes patience and compassion. But when you are dedicated to doing that, you then can truly see the amazing shifts that can take place. So what do you do if you now have your GPS coordinates and yet every time you go to love yourself, you experience such discomfort, such self-sabotage that it makes you want to stop? Well, I'll tell you what you shouldn't do first. I know my biggest mistake when this was happening in my case was I thought, well, I just had to push myself harder, or I wound up beating myself or doing a combination of both, right? So I'd be forcing myself against what my body was telling me that felt safe. And at the same time, if you could hear the things I was saying to myself in the confinements of my mind, it was horrible. Basically, my mind was trying to beat my body into submission, right? Now, it had a good motive. I wanted to love myself, but that's not the way to do that. In fact, if we treat ourselves that way as we're learning how to do things that we weren't allowed to do in our past, even something as healthy as loving ourselves, right? If we do it that way, in that fashion, our body views us as the enemy, which means our body will up the procrastination, the self-sabotage. It will up the hormones in our body that cause us to feel stressed and uncomfortable. And there's no way we can strong arm the body. The body is the subconscious mind, which means it has way more operating power than our conscious mind. And honestly, it makes sense that we can't do it that way because it would be as productive as me walking into a gym, wanting to bench 70 pounds when I can't even bench 20. I can go off on myself all I want. I can shove myself, I can push myself to try to do it all I want. I'm only going to wind up hurting myself. That way of doing things doesn't work. So here's a better way. The first step is to go back to that list that you created. That is a list of things that you would be doing if you truly loved yourself, if you truly believed you were safe to love yourself. All the things that you would be doing that you're not doing now. Hopefully you have plenty of things on that list. So what I want you to do now is to create a hierarchy, very much like in the gym. You have your weights that are lighter, and then in a row, you see the weights getting heavier and heavier, right? You're gonna go to your lightest weight on that list, or the thing on that list that would be easiest to start with. Now, before you jump to go do that thing on your list, step number 2 is actually to spend time visualizing yourself doing it. Really creating this visualization of you doing whatever's on that list, making everything as vivid as possible. Because the amazing thing about the brain is that when we are visualizing something to the brain, it can't distinguish if it's really happening or if we're just visualizing it, which means before even attempting to do this thing on your list to love yourself, you're going to be able to gauge how challenging it is to your nervous system or the subconscious beliefs that are currently in your body. Because what you will find as you're visualizing is you will notice the resistance if the belief is kicking on to not do it. You will notice constriction, tension. And once you do, I want to encourage you to gauge it on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as discomfort, with 10 being, wow, this is really uncomfortable even to imagine it, 1 not at all, and 5 in the middle. And this could honestly be a 5-minute or less visualization. So pause this video, take 5 minutes to truly visualize yourself doing what you want to do, and let me know in the comment section how your body responded. And so the last tip that's helpful to be able to put into practice self-love is as you're visualizing, right? As you're regularly visualizing, doing the things, the more you visualize that and the more you allow your nervous system to see yourself doing them, noticing the discomfort and even supporting that discomfort by validating, like, yes, it is scary. Especially if you weren't allowed for a long time, it makes sense to feel fear. And notice how today, 2024, we can do this and that it feels good. When you work with the discomfort, with compassion, with validation, with love, it starts to loosen its hold on the procrastination and the self-sabotage, and it starts to allow you to be open to being able to do the things that it formerly deemed as dangerous. And then after you do even one thing that you formerly couldn't when it comes to self-love, what's important to do is to celebrate, to allow a positive emotion to come up in your body. Traumatized brain is biased to the negative. And so even if for a moment, let's say I do something that lets me know that I love myself, but my nervous system is in hypervigilance, right? But I just did something that shows that I love myself, it may not have even noticed it. Just like, let's say there was a vicious animal about to attack me during a beautiful sunset. My nervous system is not going to register the sunset. It's going to be focused on the danger. And so we can do the right thing in the wrong emotion and it won't register and it won't upgrade our subconscious beliefs. So we really have to build up our capacity to do the things that allow us to feel like we love ourselves. Then we have to bring up that emotion because our subconscious learns through sensations. And then we rinse and repeat. And just like going to the gym regularly, my muscles start to transform. Well, our nervous system starts to transform. And the belief, I love myself, I'm allowed to love myself, I deserve to love myself and to be happy, start to take root in our body.